American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays come down. Throw it all away. Throw it all away.
Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
That's right. And we are History for Jerks.
The dulcet tones of history for jerks.
Dulcet fucking tones, motherfucker. You wanted dulcet? You got dulcet, motherfucker. Right down your throat.
I don't know why we have to be so crass right away.
Because it's dulcet. I have to tell you, there's a new formula of Magic Mind. They've improved it. And you know what? You might call me a hippie or call them a hippie, but they've decided to make a vegan formula. They've swapped the honey with agave. And they now use a new nanotechnology to blend their ingredients so there's no more sediments in the drink. And the effects take place a lot faster now. And I'll tell you, I've noticed it, and the taste is better, I think. But I've also noticed more productivity for me when I take it. I'm taking it consistently. I take it every day after my first cup of coffee, so it kind of mixes with my caffeine, whatever it is. And then I don't even really need any more coffee, and then I really feel like I focus a lot more. I'm telling you, I feel like I'm more creative, and I get in that creative flow. Those of you who are creative people, if you're a writer, if you're a comedy writer, if you're a comedian, whatever you are, an actor, singer, probably write songs, I'm telling you, this will help you kind of get in that creative flow. I get in this creative flow when I take it. I love it. And they've increased Magic Mind is so great to American Timelines because they have increased the subscription discount you get for listening to American Timelines to 56% off. That's crazy. You'd be crazy not to do this. So if you go to www.magicmind.co/American, you can get up to 56% off your subscription for the next 10 days with my code. You got to use my code, American20. So magicmind.co/American, American20, and get a subscription to Magic Mind. And it takes 1 second to drink the thing, and you feel healthier, and you feel smarter, and you feel better, and you drink less coffee, and you're less jittery. So try Magic Mind today. I just sang it. They told me not to sing, but I sang anyway.
All right. Today we are going to talk about 1958.
That's right. We've been in 1958 for a little bit now, if you've been listening, but we kind of fucked up a little bit. Amy's got
No, we don't need to go into the weeds. We're fine.
I love weed.
My story's just a little bit into July, and we're mostly going to discuss August.
So we've already done
fine.
June and July, but we're going to backtrack because Amy had another July story that she didn't cover already.
Right.
And so we're going to start with her story in July, and then I will do my usual bullshit about August 1958. And we'll just leave it at that, bruh.
All right.
Because next episode we got September and October. So we're going to just we're going to stray from the norm.
Okay.
And
so,
what is norm anyway?
I am...
Other than Cliffy's buddy.
Shh, 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 shh.
Are you shushing me?
Yeah.
On my own very own podcast?
On your very own podcast.
Are you shushing the founder and CEO of History for Jerks?
Yes. I was shushing that person. Okay.
Fine.
I'm going to tell the tale of the Glamour Girl Slayer.
Ooh, the Glamour Girl Slayer.
Yes.
I don't want glamour girls to be slayed.
So,
unless it's like, hey, slay.
So he was a
right?
serial killer. My main source was an article from allthat'sinteresting.com.
Okay, allthat'sinteresting.com. That is a quality publication, a quality organization run by quality people, I'm sure.
So he was a serial killer in Hollywood.
Okay.
And he preyed on the young starlets around.
So that was before it became known as Holly Weird. Probably.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
More like Holly Weird.
And his name was Harvey Glattman.
Harvey Glattman, baby. That sounds like a name of a real go-getter.
I know.
Harvey Glattman, get up here.
So
Show us how.
when he was young, he started to show kind of some aberrant sexual behaviors.
Oh boy.
His mom, when he was 12, she caught him like
Oh boy.
he had a noose around his neck and he was jerking off, I guess. So, and he was 12, I mean, that's not, you wouldn't normally.
For some reason, you saying jerking off sounds grosser than a normal person saying it.
Oh.
Like an old lady saying it is.
I'm not an old lady.
Not that you're an old lady.
Oh my God.
No, I was going to, let me finish.
Fuck.
No, an old lady saying it is more acceptable than you saying it. For some reason, you saying it.
I don't get it. Anyway.
As a younger lady.
So he grew up in Denver, Colorado area.
Okay.
And this was the, late 30s, early 40s when he was a kid.
Okay.
And so Harvey later said, "It seems like I always had a piece of rope in my hands when I was a kid. I guess I was just kind of fascinated by rope." So when he was 18, he got arrested for tying up a classmate and molesting her.
Oh, God.
That was the first of
He was 18?
Yeah. And that was the first of a string of similar crimes. And some of those landed him in jail for short stints here and there. Then in 1957, he moved to Los Angeles and got a job as a TV repairman.
Oh.
So that kind of put him in people's homes.
I think they prefer to be called repairman.
Repairman.
Oh, so then, people would let him in their homes. He has access to.
Right. And then his crimes started to escalate at that point.
Oh, man.
And his shtick was to pose as a photographer to these young starlets and tell them he wanted to take pictures, their picture.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
everybody will do anything for fame.
Right. And then he would drive them out to the desert or whatever. And
so what a sad circumstance is if you happen to have your TV on the fritz and you call this guy.
I know it. So his first victim was 19-year-old model Judy Ann Dull. She was engaged in a protracted, expensive custody battle with her ex-husband over their 14-month-old daughter.
Okay.
So when this man named Johnny Glynn called, offering her a much-needed $50 to pose for the cover of a pulp novel.
So he used a fake name, Johnny Glynn, not Harvey...
Not Harvey Glattman.
Glattman? Yeah, I mean, you're going to get more opportunities with a cool name.
So he gets to the apartment to get her.
Okay.
And her roommates said he was like this little guy and he glasses and
Whose roommate? Oh,
her
roommate sees the guy.
Sees
and
the
like,
guy
it's
and
no threat.
Yeah, exactly.
This little Harvey Wimpleman looking.
But so then he gets her back to his apartment.
Okay.
And then he gets out a gun and rapes her a bunch of times. And that's when he lost his virginity and he was 29.
Oh, boy.
And so then he drives her out to real secluded, way out in the Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
Outside of L.A. where he strangles her to death. And so that became his regular deal where he would just continue to take women, tie them up, sexually assault them, and then murder them. He says, "I would make them kneel down. With every one, it was the same," Glattman later told police. "With the gun on them, I would tie this 5-foot piece of rope around their ankles. Then I would loop it up around their neck. Then I would stand there and keep pulling until they quit struggling." So then his next victim was Shirley Ann Bridgeford, 24, a divorcee and model who he met through a Lonely Hearts ad using the false name George Williams.
George Williams is a common name to use. It's sad because these poor women, their only fault is being attractive.
I know.
Poor ladies.
And she thought he was going to take her to a dance.
Yeah.
So that was how he got her.
You'd think that would... Well, I guess he's offering again to make them famous or to make them...
Well, this one was
why are they going with this guy? But
this was a Lonely Hearts ad.
Okay.
So it was not... He wasn't saying he was a photographer at this one.
I would think once he picked her up and he looks like a guy who's not so attractive, she'd be like, eh.
So he takes her back to his place, does the same thing, ties her up, photographs her, rapes her before taking her to the desert where he kills her. And you can see the photos of these photos that he takes. They're all you can
see the actual photos he took before
of the
he
girls
killed them?
tied up.
Oh,
there's
no.
a whole bunch of them online.
What do you Google?
Harvey Glattman.
Just look up Harvey Glattman photos.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So he left her body unburied in the desert to be ravaged by animals in the wind.
Oh my gosh! These are real, huh? Oh, no. Yeah, I'm looking at these pictures on Murderpedia and all that's interesting. Oh, this is not... I don't like this at all.
Isn't that horrible?
These are real?
Yeah. It's not... Let's describe it. It's not bloody or anything.
No, it's just women tied up.
Women
so it looks
that are
like it's
tied
from a movie or something. Their pictures are done so well.
Right.
And it's like women tied to chairs with gags in their mouths or rope over their mouth. Oh, there he is, huh? The Glamour Girl Slayer.
Yep.
Gross.
So,
this is awful.
So his next victim, Ruth Mercado, was 24. He met her through a modeling agency.
Okay.
So then he gets to her house for a planned photo shoot. She says she's too sick to do it.
Okay.
But he decides he comes back a couple hours later, and this time he lets himself in. And he rapes her repeatedly at gunpoint throughout the night. And then in the morning, he forced her to walk out to his car and then drove her to the desert where he killed her in his usual manner. He said, she was one I really liked. So I told her we were going out to a deserted spot where we wouldn't be bothered while I took more pictures. Glatman later revealed during interrogation, we drove out to the Escondido district and spent most of the day out in the desert. I took a lot more pictures and tried to figure out how to keep from killing her, but I couldn't come up with any answer. So then Glatman's luck would soon come to an end with his last victim, 28-year-old Lorraine Vigil. So she had just registered with a modeling agency, and then she was contacted by Glatman for a photo shoot.
Okay.
She got in the car with him, and she wasn't worried until he started driving in the opposite direction of Hollywood.
Okay.
She said later, I didn't become alarmed until we entered the Santa Ana freeway and he began driving at a tremendous speed. He wouldn't answer my questions or even look at me. Can you imagine, like...
Yeah, the fear you'd have.
Yes. All of a sudden you realize this person in control of the car is something's wrong. So then...
And you have nothing. You have no means to protect yourself.
Right. So then he says, oh, I got a flat tire. So he pulls over to the side of the road. And then once the car's parked, he pulls his gun out on her and he tries to tie her up. But
so he lied about the tire?
Yeah. But she was able to grab the gun by the muzzle and she tried to wrest it from him.
Oh, really?
He then tried to convince her that if she let go, he wouldn't kill her, but she knew better.
Yeah, no,
so
you can't trust him at this point.
As they fought over the gun, Glatman accidentally fired a bullet that passed through her skirt and grazed her thigh.
Whoa.
At that point, she bit Glatman's hand and was able to get a hold of the gun.
Get him, girl.
She pointed it at Glatman and held him there until the police, likely alerted by a passing motorist, arrived on the scene.
Nice.
So the police arrested him for the assault, at which point he willingly admitted to his previous 3 murders.
I hope she was holding it sideways.
I doubt it. He eventually led police to a toolbox that contained pictures of hundreds of women he had molested, as well as the 3 murder victims. Whoa. He then spoke openly about his crimes to law enforcement.
Yeah.
When put on trial for his crimes, he pled guilty and repeatedly requested that he be given the death penalty, and even attempted to stop the automatic appeal given to all death penalty cases in California. But ultimately, he was killed in the gas chamber at San Quentin State Prison on September 18th, 1959, bringing his horrifying killing spree to an end.
Wow.
That is the Glamour Girl Slayer.
It's so awful because when you start the story, I'm like in its little panic. Like, how long is it going to take before they catch this guy? He's going to get caught. They get caught eventually.
Not always.
Yeah, I guess not.
We've had some that nobody knows. Long Island, the Long Island.
Well, I assume he's gonna get caught, and then it's like you have to go through all the ladies like before the word gets out that somebody's doing this, and like who knows if the word was even out at this point. He got caught because of this brave ass woman,
right?
So she's a badass.
Yeah, that's her.
What's her name? Lorraine.
That's her right there.
Yeah, I forget what her name was.
Lorraine Vigil.
Lorraine Vigil. So Lorraine Vigil probably saved countless women.
That's right.
From the clutches of Harvey Glatman. Fuck Glatman and the Glamour Girl murderer. Anyway, screw that guy. And that brings us to, we're going to jump into August 1958 just to get a feel for what the times were like.
All right.
What was going on in the world, or in America mainly. Little bit, we're going to go out of America because August 1958, we might as well just call it the plane crash month. I mean, something was going on with aviation.
Really?
I can't believe the amount of crashes. And we also should call it Superstar Birth Month because we got some birthdays.
Oh, boy.
We got some superstar birthdays that are unbelievable. So August 3rd, 1958, we'll start on Sunday, was the day that the nuclear-powered submarine USS Nautilus and its crew of 111 servicemen and 5 American civilian scientific observers became the first vessel to sail underneath the North Pole.
Oh, my God.
Whose ice cap is impenetrable by surface ships, so you have to go in a submarine.
You go under it?
Under the North Pole, yep.
That's crazy to know.
The accomplishment was announced...
I guess I thought some of that was land.
Yeah, I don't...
Underneath the ice, I thought some of that was land.
I don't know anything.
But if you can go under it, I guess the whole thing's just an iceberg?
I guess the world... Everything's an iceberg, right?
No.
Land.
Earth goes down to the core.
I think you can...
Right? Are we idiots? We're look so stupid right now.
No, you can't go under the
continents
big
and
giant
stuff.
continents, but I think the North Pole. I got to look at a globe. I don't remember what it looks like up there. Anyway,
we better stop now.
Yeah, we better shut up.
You can tell we've had imbibed. Oh shit!
You can tell we've been drinking all day.
Something. Okay, sorry.
The accomplishment was announced 5 days later when the voyage of Nautilus was revealed by U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower at a ceremony presenting Commander William R. Anderson from Waynesboro, Tennessee, with the Legion of Merit at the White House. He happened to also go to Wayne County High School, home of the Wildcats. He was the commander on that ship.
Alrighty.
You like that? I looked up what high school he went to. You like that?
No.
Oh, you don't like
I
that?
did not care for it.
Well, that brings us to Monday, August 4th, 1958. And on that date, the Billboard Hot 100, Billboard magazine's weekly documentation of the most popular recorded songs in the United States, regardless of musical genre, was published for the first time. They finally did the Billboard Hot 100.
Nice.
With rankings based on the average of surveys of best-selling and most played songs.
Okay.
And the first number one hit on the Hot 100 was...
Hound Dog.
Guess? Nope.
Oh.
It was a recording of the song Poor Little Fool. You know who sang that? Written by Sharon Shealy.
No, I don't know who sang that.
Ricky Nelson.
Okay.
Who was born in New Jersey, and he went to Hollywood High School, home of the Sheiks.
Stop
Notable
with
alumni
it. No.
include Meredith Baxter
Stop
Birney.
it. Stop.
He moved to L.A. later and went to Hollywood High School. So, yeah. So the last, so that was the first ever one. How about that? Now that exists.
Yep.
We talked a lot about that in the 80s episodes.
Right.
And then on that same date, the last television program of the Dumont Television Network in the U.S. was aired before Dumont Television Network went away. So it was like NBC, CBS, and Dumont.
Okay.
And that was the last program was boxing.
Okay.
Telecast from St. Nicholas Arena on 5 stations in the U.S., and Dumont had already given up most of his programming 2 years earlier, but was still under contract to broadcast boxing only. And the last fight pitted lightweight Lenny Matthews against Steve Ward. They went to different high schools. I'm just kidding. I didn't look up.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't find their high school. I couldn't find anything
kill
about
myself.
those 2 boxers, so.
I'm going to snap my own neck.
No, you love high school mascots. But also that same day on August 4th, a U.S. district judge in Richmond, Virginia, issued an order allowing the public school system of Prince Edward County, Virginia, 7 years to accomplish racial desegregation.
Jeez.
With black and white students being educated in separate schools until the beginning of 1965-66 school year. Judge Sterling Hutchison justified the 7-year delay based on language of the 1954 U.S. Supreme Court decision, Brown v. Board of Education, because it said desegregation should be accomplished with all deliberate speed.
Yeah.
Even if done 11 years after the decision. He was using that as his justification, which is stupid.
Yeah, that's very stupid.
And then on Friday, August 8th, at 8 o'clock a.m. local time, New York City began a crackdown. A crackdown on jaywalking.
Oh, God.
The oft-violated law against walking a street at point other than a posted crosswalk after a 2-month warning period, including a 30-day interval of stopping and warning violators that beginning August 8th, you'll be subject to a fine of $2, equivalent to $20 60 years later.
Wow.
On the first day of the enforcement, 479 summonses were issued, with more than half in Manhattan, 93 in Brooklyn, 98 in Queens, 31 in the Bronx, and 2 in Richmond Heights. But Richmond Heights only had 1 don't walk signal, so Can't
Oh,
blame
so
those guys.
yeah, that's true.
And now here come the plane crashes. Saturday, August 9th, 1958, the crash of Central African Airways Flight 890 killed 36 of the 54 people on board. The Viscount 745D turboprop was on the fifth leg of a multi-stop flight from Salisbury to South Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, to London's Heathrow Airport and was approaching Benghazi in Libya when it crashed into a hillside when attempting to land.
Ooh.
It's probably Hillary's fault.
Yeah, or Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah. And then Monday, August 11th, I said because it was Benghazi is what I said. Anyway, Monday, August 11th, 1958, 5 people were killed and more than 20 injured in a head-on collision of 2 Erie Railroad trains in front of a closed depot at Sterlington, New York, after a signal operator failed to direct a westbound train to stop for an eastbound commuter train. When the operator realized his error, he tried to radio both trains to stop, but neither one received the signal, and the two collided at 6:47 in the morning.
Yikes. What's happening?
And then on Tuesday, August 12th, 1958, all 33 people on board the All Nippon Airways Flight 25 were killed as the Douglas DC-3 was flying from Tokyo to Nagoya. The right engine of the twin-engine airplane failed an hour into the flight. The airline plunged into the Pacific Ocean 17 miles from the island of Toshima. All right, that same day, White Wilderness. Have you ever heard of that Disney movie, White Wilderness?
No.
It's like a nature documentary type of movie. It contains a scene that supposedly depicts a mass lemming migration and ends with the lemmings leaping into the Arctic Ocean. And the narrator basically states that lemmings are committing suicide, like a mass suicide.
Oh, my God.
But rather they're in the course of migrating, and that kind of happens that way sometimes. When they come across a body of water, they're attempting to cross it, and if the body of water the lemmings encounter is too wide, they can suffer exhaustion and drown as a result, right? So it shows that, and I kind of watched a little bit. But in 1982, the CBC television news magazine program, The Fifth Estate, broadcast a documentary about animal cruelty in Hollywood called Cruel Camera, focusing on this film, White Wilderness, that came out in 1958, as well as the television program Wild Kingdom. Bob McCown, the host of the CBC program, who also played football at Yale, discovered that the lemming scene was filmed at the Bow River near downtown Calgary and not in the Arctic Ocean as implied by the film. McCown, who also played professional football for the Ottawa Rough Riders and had a cool Fu Manchu then, interviewed a lemming expert, and this lemming expert claimed that the particular species of lemming shown in the film is not known to migrate, much less commit mass suicide. In fact, the lemmings were transported to the location, jostled on turntables, and thrown off of a cliff, after which the footage was edited just to make that film. Additionally, he revealed that footage of a polar bear cub falling down an Arctic ice slope was really filmed in a Calgary film studio. It remains unknown whether or not Walt Disney was aware or approved of this practice.
Wow.
So you watch it, they basically threw these lemmings off a cliff, and they're like hanging off a cliff, and then go into the water and all drown.
Jesus.
So it's really sad. You can see
Why are we talking about it?
I don't know. It's a crazy thing that they did.
That's nuts.
It's cruel and awful. And then Wednesday, August 13th, 1958. Have you ever heard of American cartoonist Jack Cole?
No.
Well, he was 43 years old, and he was a comic book artist who had created the character Plastic Man for Quality Comics in 1941. You've seen Plastic Man, right?
Yes.
And he later worked for Playboy magazine, but on this date, he shot himself to death.
Oh, my God.
Less than 3 months after he had created a new comic strip, Betsy and Me, for the Chicago Tribune.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You said later he worked for Playboy magazine, but right now he killed himself.
Well, in 1941, he created Plastic Man, and then he later worked for Playboy magazine. But on this date, he killed himself.
Oh. I thought you meant he killed himself and then later he worked for Playboy magazine.
No. He created Plastic Man, and then later worked for Playboy magazine, and then in 1958, he shot himself.
Got it.
When he was 17, I'm trying to figure out the cause here. I kind of dug into him a little bit. When he was 17, he's from Pennsylvania. He bicycled solo cross-country from Los Angeles to Los Angeles, California, and back from Pennsylvania, I think.
Wow.
Bicycled.
Wow.
You can't do that, right?
It's
Without
nuts.
chafing? Like, I can't ride
They're chafing.
around the block without my taint
We don't
being
need
sore.
to. We
My
are
taint's on
all
fire on a
aware of
bicycle.
your chafing.
How do
We
you ride a
don't
bicycle
need
without
to
your taint
discuss
being
it.
just on fire. My taint's on fire just thinking about it.
All right.
Anyway, on August 13th, 1958, he got in a Chevy station wagon, purchased a rifle, and fatally shot himself in the head. On the day he died, he mailed a suicide note explaining the reasons for his suicide to his wife, Dorothy. The coroner deemed that the letter was too personal and did not enter it as evidence at the ensuing inquest. The only explanation his wife gave was, quote, "We had an argument before," unquote. She subsequently remarried and disappeared from public view. Cole also wrote a suicide note to his editor and father figure, Hugh Hefner, which was printed in Art Spiegelman's biography of Cole, Jack Cole and Plastic Man. Forms stretched to their limits is the full title. The note reads, "Dear Hef, when you read this, I shall be dead. I cannot go on living with myself and hurting those dear to me. What I do has nothing to do with you."
Jeez, what was his deal?
I don't know. They said that Cole owed Hefner money, but his estate covered the debt. Cole did not participate in the whole Playboy lifestyle. Though the evening before his suicide, he did drink a substantial amount at a Playboy office party. It still remains, to this day, it remains one of the greatest mysteries in all of American cartooning. That's weird to say. And then Thursday, August 14th, 1958. Ready for some more plane crashes?
All right, bring them. Bring him on.
All 99 people aboard KLM Flight 607E were killed when the Super Constellation jet airliner crashed into Atlantic Ocean. After taking off from Shannon Airport in Ireland, it traveled to Gander, Newfoundland, in Canada, as part of a multi-stop flight from Amsterdam to New York City. The loss of life was the highest up to that time in a commercial aviation disaster. And the very next day, on Friday, August 15th, all 64 passengers and crew on Aeroflot Flight 4 and the Russian SFSR were killed when the Tupolev Tu-104 jet airliner crashed half an hour after taking off from Khabarovsk towards Irkutsk.
Man, you're really gambling with your life when you're
I guess
taking a flight.
Irkutsk. Yeah, as a stop on flight to Moscow. At 3:18 in the afternoon, the pilot indicated that the jet was in stress. A few minutes later, the aircraft crashed into a dense forest 134 miles from its destination. And that same day, on April 15th, the crash of Northeast Airlines Flight 258 in the U.S. killed 25 of the 34 people on board after the Convair 240 twin-engine piston-powered airliner was cleared for the approach to Nantucket, Massachusetts. At 11:34 at night, the flight, which had departed from LaGuardia Airport in New York, impacted the ground 1,700 feet from runway 1,700 feet from runway 24 while attempting its landing in a dense fog. The 9 survivors had all been passengers. So none of the crew or the pilots survived. Can you imagine surviving a crash?
No.
All these dead people next to you?
That's the least of your problems.
That's the least of your problems? You think you have nightmares after that?
Yeah. Pretty sure about
that. That's in 2 days, 3 crashes in 2 days. August 16th was a Saturday in 1958. And remember briefly we talked about the TV show Dotto?
Don't recall that.
It was like Connect the Dots, I think, or something.
Oh, yes.
It was so popular in the U.S. at one time that it was shown on both CBS and NBC networks.
Oh, my God.
But on this date, it was canceled abruptly by its sponsor, the Colgate-Palmolive Company, in the wake of accusations by a former contestant that the show's producers had supplied answers in advance to players.
Oh, scandal. Scandalous.
Yep. So people who tried to tune into that on CBS at 11:30 on Monday morning found out that Top Dollar, which had run on Saturday evenings, was the abrupt replacement for Dotto. And nobody gave a shit about Top Dollar.
God, it's like watching paint dry, these game shows, I bet.
Yeah, I bet they were terrible.
Ugh.
Everybody's wearing a suit.
Like that early TV.
Yeah. Well, that same day that Dotto was abruptly canceled was the same day that we have a superstar born. Hit it, Matt Truman, for a very special theme song of Amy Hates Birthdays.
What?
But Amy, you're going to love this one.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
American pop music superstar who ranks as the best-selling female recording artist of all time, as well as being an award-winning film actress, was born in Bay City, Michigan. Do you know who it is?
Yes, I do.
Who?
Madonna.
You know what her middle name is? And her real last name is?
Ciccone is her last
Ciccone
name.
is, yeah, right.
Yeah, but I don't. Louisa or something.
Louise. Oh, my God. I'm
Yeah.
impressed. Well, Madonna had the same name as her mother. I don't know if you knew that. So family members called her Little Nani. Her mother died of breast cancer on December 1st, 1963, when she was just 5. She later adopted Veronica as her confirmation name when getting confirmed. Madonna was raised in the Detroit suburbs of Pontiac and Avon Township, now Rochester Hills, alongside her 2 older brothers, Anthony and Martin, and 3 younger siblings, Paula, Christopher, and Melanie. In 1966, her dad, Tony, married the family's housekeeper, Joan Gustafson. Did you know that?
No.
And they had 2 children, Jennifer and Mario. Madonna resented her father for getting married again and rebelled against him and strained the relationship for many years, as you can see demonstrated in the Papa Don't Preach video. And her dad was played by Danny Aiello.
Yep, that's
that
right.
right?
Yep.
That's a good video. She was known for her high grade point average in middle school, but she achieved notoriety for her unconventional behavior. She would perform cartwheels and handstands in the hallways between classes, dangle by her knees from the monkey bars during recess, and pulled up her skirt during class, all so that the boys could see her underwear. She later admitted to seeing herself
That
in
tracks.
her youth. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
She saw herself as a lonely girl who was searching for something. She said, I wasn't rebellious in a certain way. I cared about being good at something. I didn't shave my underarms, and I didn't wear makeup like normal girls do, but I studied and I got good grades. I wanted to be somebody.
Yep.
Madonna's father put her in classical piano lessons, but she later convinced him to allow her to take ballet. And Christopher Flynn, her ballet teacher, persuaded her to pursue a career in dance. She later attended Rochester Adams High School, home of the Highlanders, and became a straight-A student as well as a member of its cheerleading squad. Madonna was a cheerleader. After graduating in January 1976, she received a dance scholarship to the University of Michigan, Go Blue, Jim Harbaugh, and studied over the summer at the American Dance Festival in Durham, North Carolina. North Kakalaka, not far from where we're at. So there you go. That's just some early days of Madonna. One of the greatest performers of all time. But what's even cooler is, I don't think a lot of people know this. Madonna and another fucking superstar, arguably a better superstar. I think I like this next one better. Were born on the same day. 2 badass women.
Really?
Yes. One of the baddest ass actresses in the world.
Oh, it's an actress.
She's an actress. She's a badass in everything. She played Tina Turner. She played Black
Angela
Panther's
Bassett.
mom. Yeah, Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
Was born in New York City on this same date. She went to live with her aunt in Winston-Salem when she was little because it was too... I forgot why. But she ended up in Florida, went to high school in Gulfport, Florida. She went to the same high school as Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
All right.
At Boca Ciega High School, home of the Pirates. She was a cheerleader there, too. So Angela Bassett was a cheerleader. Madonna was a cheerleader at the same time.
Not at the same school.
Not at the same school.
No.
But at the same time, because they were born the same year.
Right.
But Angela Bassett was also a member of the debate team, student government, drama club, and choir. And during high school, Bassett became the first African-American from Boca Ciega to be admitted to the National Honor Society. Badass.
Yeah.
She also studied at Yale University and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in African American Studies in 1980. She then studied acting at the Yale School of Drama and obtained a Master of Fine Arts in 1983, despite opposition from her paternal aunt, who warned her to not waste her Yale education on theater. But at Yale, she met future husband Courtney B. Vance. I don't know that I knew she married Courtney B. Vance.
I don't think I know who that is.
Oh, man. I'm going to yell at you now. But you know who else she went to school with at Yale?
Who?
Charles Dutton.
Oh.
You rock like Charles Dutton, I tell people to this day. And
They don't know what you're talking
now
about.
I work with a lot of people. They have to Google who that is because
Right.
Rock.
Right.
That show Rock is old now.
Mm-hmm.
I said it to a lady I work with the other day, and she said, in my defense, I was born the year that came out. And I suddenly,
Felt bad.
I felt old.
Yeah.
Because I realized she was born. I feel like I was 40 when I was watching Rock. Anyway, Tuesday, August 19th, 1958. We're getting through August here.
Yes.
This was the Katz drugstore sit-in on this day in Oklahoma City. In Oklahoma, U.S. businesses were allowed by law to refuse service to African Americans still. And Clara Looper, super badass, African American high school teacher in Oklahoma City, was also a civil rights activist and the advisor for the Youth Council of the Oklahoma City NAACP. She had taken a trip with her students earlier to New York City to put on the play Brother President, where they witnessed black people living in a desegregated environment. They experienced integrated restaurants and other freedoms that black people in Oklahoma City had not been accustomed to.
Yeah.
After they returned to Oklahoma, Looper's daughter, Marilyn, asked, why don't we just go in and ask for Coca-Cola and a hamburger at Cat's drugstore? And that prompted Looper to stage a sit-in with 13 of her black students. One of those black students happened to be Kanye West's mom.
Really?
Yeah, small world. Donda West was one of the students. Before the event, Looper gathered the students to teach them about principles of civil disobedience. Civil disobedience, not civil disobedience, like I just said.
Mm-hmm.
And to train them on how to react to opposition. After their prep, the first day of the sit-in began on August 19th, 1958, when Clara Looper and the children sat down at the counter of the Cat's drugstore and ordered 13 Cokes. They were refused service, but they stayed at the counter for hours. All while white people kicked them and punched them and spat at them and poured things on them.
Yeah.
White assholes.
Mm-hmm.
They returned for 2 more days. On the third day of their protest,
The same ones that don't want us to teach the real history.
It's the same people that are upset upset about CRT. It's those same people are still around, complaining about bullshit, wanting to kill drag queens.
That's right.
It's the same people, wrong side of history, motherfuckers, I want to say. Anyway, on the third day of the protest, one of the employees served them food, ending segregation in that restaurant. And when that restaurant finally relented, it prompted a series of sit-ins at other restaurants in the state's capital. The sit-in began 1 month after a similar campaign began to desegregate a chain of lunch counters in Kansas. We talked about that one, I think, last episode or the previous one before that. So back when drugstores had lunch counters. And
right.
Anymore. But, and then thankfully on Saturday, August 23rd, 1958, U.S. President Eisenhower signed the Federal Aviation Act into law, transferring all authority over aviation in the U.S. to the new Federal Aviation Agency, the FAA, to replace the Civil Aeronautics Authority. Because
there won't be so many goddamn crashes.
The CAA was definitely not doing a very good job.
No.
But it wasn't just America's plane. A lot of those planes were all over the world. That's why I feel like were aliens involved? Like, did anybody look at this? Like, there were all these crashes all in a row? But I guess it was just flights were new.
Shitty. Yeah, flying was pretty new. And
yeah, people didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. And that same day, President Eisenhower also signed legislation that granted lifelong government pensions for the first time to former presidents of the U.S. and their widows. The only 2 living ex-presidents at this time were Herbert Hoover and Harry S. Truman, who received $25,000 a year, equivalent to $250,000 today. And 2 living presidential widows were Edith Galt Wilson and Eleanor Roosevelt, who got $10,000 pensions. The recipients also received furnished offices, a paid government assistant, and free postage on any correspondence or packages sent within the U.S. Free postage for life!
Oh, my gosh.
You get free postage forever. That was a bigger deal then.
Yeah,
people
it
actually mailed shit. Like,
yeah, it was.
I don't remember the last time I bought postage stamps.
It'd be like getting free shipping all the time, though.
It's like free shipping with Amazon Prime. So basically, they're just getting Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And then Sunday, August 24th, we have one more birthday. Another superstar you won't believe.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
American film actor and kind of comedian in Brooklyn, New York. Went to Plain Edge High School, home of the Red Devils. Notable alumni include Manjul Bhargava, a mathematician, Jim Hodder, the Steely Dan drummer.
Stop with it.
This was Steve Guttenberg.
Okay. I never would have guessed that.
Steve Guttenberg, the great
He's
Steve
not a
Guttenberg.
superstar.
He's not?
Wait a minute.
You know, did you know
What
that
the
Steve,
fuck are you talking about?
Steve Guttenberg, listen to this. He attended a summer program at the Juilliard School.
He was great in Police Academy.
Gain amazing skills to be in Police Academy. That's why Police Academy is one of the greatest ever cinematic creations in the universe.
God, I bet those
All 8 of them.
I bet those don't hold up well.
Oh, they hold up.
Oh, I bet they don't.
There's a lot of boob jokes.
I bet they do not hold up well.
Wiener jokes and boob jokes. People get their wieners glued to things.
I haven't even thought about
itching powder in your jock straps.
I haven't even thought about Police Academy movies in years.
We're gonna do it. Remember, we want to make the
Oh my God.
Rich wanted to make a documentary where we watch all 8 police academies, and you have like a confession booth where you just like see what state of mind you're in, and how like by the time you get to 8, like what's wrong with you. That'd be hilarious.
Yes.
Still got to do that. August 25th, 1958 was a Monday, and instant noodles, commonly referred to as ramen noodles, went on sale for the first time after Japanese entrepreneur Momofuku Ando developed a process for dehydrating noodles and packaging them as a block for future rehydration at
Boy, that
home
was
in
a
boiling water.
humdinger of a invention.
He got a lot of people through college.
Yes.
I'll tell you that much. His company, Nissin Foods, sold the packages under the name Chicken Ramen for 35 Japanese yen, equivalent at the time to about 12.5 cents in the U.S.
Yeah.
Now I think they're still 12 cents. Like, they're still cheap. And
Ramen, yeah, pretty much.
Ramen's cheap as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good, man. It's not good for you, but it tastes good. Wednesday, August 27th, 1958, the Soviet Union accomplished the first successful return of animal passengers from a rocket launch after sending 2 dogs to an altitude of 281 miles without killing them.
Okay.
According to the TASS News agency, the dogs were named Belyanka, which means whitey, and Pastreya, which means many colors.
All right.
And they were alive when they came back. And on August 28th, which is a Thursday, 1958, the Onion Futures Act
Oh, my God.
had come into play, banning the trading of future contracts on onions, as well as motion picture box office receipts. Why are those two together? I'm not sure. But because in 1955, 2 onion traders, Sam Siegel and Vince Kosuga, they cornered the onion futures market on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. The resulting regulatory actions led to a passing of the act on August 28, 1958. And as of August 2022, it remains in effect. So what happened was these 2 guys bought so many onions and onion futures that they controlled 98% of the available onions in Chicago.
Oh.
Millions of pounds of onions were shipped to Chicago to cover their purchase. By late 55, they had stored 30 million pounds of onions in Chicago. And they soon changed course and convinced onion growers to begin purchasing their inventory by threatening to flood the market with onions if they did not.
What?
Yeah, Siegel and Kosuga told the growers that they would hold the rest of their inventory in order to support the price of onions. And then people were like, you can't be doing shit like this with onions.
Right.
And they made a law against it.
Good.
No more cornering the market on onions. And it happened to be the superstar was born on Onion Day, Super Onion Futures Day.
Okay.
American rock music superstar and cultural icon born in Gary, Indiana.
Oh, Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Jesus, all these people in the same month?
All in the same month. And just weeks apart. Michael Jackson, Madonna,
Yeah, that's
Angela
crazy.
Bassett, Steve Guttenberg.
Well,
Badass Steve Guttenberg.
come on now.
Michael Jackson was the 8th of 10 children in the Jackson family, a working-class African-American family living in a 2-bedroom house on Jackson Street. 10 children in a 2-bedroom house.
Oh, my
Can you
God.
imagine that?
No.
His mother, Catherine, played clarinet and piano, had aspired to be a country and western performer, and worked part-time at Sears. She was also a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh, that reminds me. I think I missed something.
What?
I missed a thing, speaking of Jehovah's Witnesses, because... Oh, yeah, crap. Back in August 3rd, it doesn't matter, but the record for attendance at the 67,000-plus seat Yankee Stadium was set in 1958 when 123,707 people came to the Jehovah's Witnesses International Convention.
Oh, my God.
That broke the record, not baseball. Anyway, a commemorative
I wonder how many Jehovah's Witnesses there are now.
I can't believe there's that many.
I know. That's a lot.
There's a bunch uptown that are always standing by.
Really?
They never say a word. They have this big thing that says Jehovah's Witnesses, and they all stand there in suits. There's like 6 of them at a time. Men and women, all races.
They don't try to convert
They
people?
don't say a word unless you talk to them. Because I walk past them all the time. They've never said a word to me.
Really?
But I think they want you to ask about
Yeah.
being a Jehovah's Witness. Anyway. And I've told you about the one funeral I went to, the Jehovah's Witness funeral. And it was upsetting because they never talked about the person who died. They just talked about being a Jehovah's
Right.
Witness.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Okay. Where did I go?
It's kind of a cult, Jehovah's Witness.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it except that they Don't
I know
celebrate Halloween.
I know
don't
there's a
celebrate birthdays.
ginormous sex abuse scandal.
Is
with
there?
Jehovah's Witnesses? Yep.
Oh boy, I didn't know that.
And the Amish.
Oh, Amish, I could. Well, I don't know. What else is there to do in the Amish? They just need distraction, don't you think? Anyway, Michael Jackson's mother was a Jehovah's Witness, and his father, Joseph Walter Joe Jackson, was a former boxer and a crane operator at U.S. Steel and played guitar with the local rhythm and blues band, the Falcons. Michael grew up with 3 sisters, Rebby, Latoya, and Janet, and 5 brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine.
You never hear about Rebby.
Marlon, and Randy. You don't hear about Rebby, but Tim Anderson talks about Rebby a lot.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. Gay guys love Rebby Jackson. A sixth brother, Marlon's twin Brandon, died shortly after birth. I never knew Marlon had a twin. Did you?
No.
I think Tito's my favorite.
Your favorite Jackson?
I don't know. Maybe. Jermaine. In 1964, Michael and Marlon joined the Jackson Brothers, a band formed by their father, which included Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine as backup musicians playing congas and tambourine. Michael said his father told him he had a fat nose and physically and emotionally abused him during rehearsals. He recalled that Joe often sat in a chair with a belt in his hand as he and his siblings rehearsed, ready to punish any mistakes. Joe acknowledged that he regularly whipped Michael, and Catherine said that although whipping came to be considered abuse, it was a common way to discipline children back then. Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon all denied their father was abusive and said that the whippings, which had a deeper impact on Michael because he was younger, kept them disciplined and out of trouble. Michael said during his youth he was lonely and isolated.
I think there's better ways to teach kids
than just threatening
than
abuse,
beating them, hitting them, violence. I'm
not advocating abuse at all, but if I lived in a 2-bedroom house with 10 children,
yeah, no shit.
I don't know that I could.
I think I'd kill myself.
They have to be bad to figure out who they are. I mean, they're bad at times.
Yeah, that's right.
And I had trouble with 2 getting
and with
along.
10 of them,
Can you imagine 10 of them not getting along.
Chances are somebody's always being bad.
Yeah, they're always bad.
Yeah,
we barely got through 2.
That's right.
I didn't ever hit any of them with a belt, but they were afraid that I would. I think. Anyway, August 30th, 1958 was a Saturday. And this is the last thing I have, and it's not in America, but I'm just keeping this in there because I didn't realize racism was so rampant in England.
Oh.
Because 3 days of race riots began between white and black Britons in Notting Hill, London. Majbrit Morrison, a white author from Sweden, was attacked by a group of white Britons who called themselves the Teddy Boys, and who had learned the night before that she was married to a black man from Jamaica, Raymond Morrison. London police arrested her for obstruction of justice after she refused to leave the scene. When night fell, a mob of more than 300 white people began attacking the homes of black residents from the West Indies.
Jesus.
Soon the number of people involved grew to 2,000. The disturbances continued every night until September 5th, and 140 people were arrested. 9 young white men will later be convicted of crimes of violence and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
At least they were sentenced.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not much, but at least
in America. But yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, of course, racism exists everywhere, but I always think of really black and white racism as
American.
Black racism.
Well, we really corner the market on it.
Yeah, America's got the most.
Yeah.
Sure. But anyway, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to jump into September and the next episode of American Timelines by History for Jerks. And if you're a jerk and you listen to this, thank you for listening. If you're not a jerk, then hey, good for you. I can't believe you're listening.
There's no way.
Thank you for listening, jerks.
Yes. It's time to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Oh, it is time to get out of here. And you guys can move on to your next podcast, which is probably
How to Jerk Off with a Flashlight.
I don't think that's a podcast.
Oh.
It
probably is.
Don't try her, man, 'cause you dead. She take that laser beam and cut like that. Driving through your life like a Buick. Take you the wrong way home just to watch you squirm. She'll leave you inside out with a stuff. She'll introduce you to a restaurant of water. And you'll be crying for your uncle or mother. Before she turns you over to kiss your wounds. And when she shakes her hips,
That Truman Ego Trip is the greatest band of all time. Buy their music.